when we talk about sustainability, the environmental aspect is often ignored. Because when the economists and the politicians speak, they're looking at how much money they can make. And so the economy, it always takes a higher level of consideration. But the challenge again is that when you neglect the environment, what you think you are gaining, you are actually losing. This is why working at the grassroots is extremely important. And our communities have become laboratories of disaster, I would say. For example, I'm happy that Dr. Madueke will be visiting Niger Delta because if you go to some of the communities, they will show you on the walls of their buildings. This is the level of the flood we had in 2012. This is the level of the flood we had in this year. The marks are there. Nothing has changed. They've not changed their buildings. They've not moved to anywhere else. They are just battling to survive the flood. And so what I believe we need to tackle, apart from just creating awareness, is to intensify more efforts in climate literacy, which is where you're going to connect the dots, so that politicians understand that you can't discount the environment. The environment is our life. You have to invest. The Ministry of Environment doesn't receive the amount of resources that it should receive, because perhaps that is not being considered as a major area to invest in. Ministry of Agriculture is getting about 2% of the budget, whereas the African Union recommends 10%. And so when you don't invest in this key sector that support human life, it's very, very, it would be wishful thinking to think that you're going to achieve a different result. It's what you put in, you're going to get out. And so the literacy we're talking about requires a lot of humility. Policymakers have to go to where the people are battling for survival and learn from them, hear their stories. I believe this is what the SGP under Mrs. Olubamiche is doing. They're actually working very closely. I follow their work. They've supported our work. I follow their work on social media, on LinkedIn, everywhere. And these things are very well laid out. That you have to really kickstart the economy, to promote the development as people, pro-people, you have to focus on the environment. You can't do it any other way.
All right, Dr. Nimo, you just talked about the government, making policies and then making sure that people know, helping people out. And I know that you have been in the climate justice space. That has been your thing, fighting there for the Niger Delta people. You're more known for that than any other thing. And in Baku, of course, you're leading the protests and they're talking about grants, not loan as well. And this year, one of the major things that happened, towards the end, first week of December, is the International Court of Justice, hearing from different countries about the responsibilities of nations, the countries to climate change. How do you think this will impact, the things that you're talking about with what you're doing in the climate justice space, as well as the economic development that you talked about regarding, the government policies?
Well, thank you for bringing that angle. The truth is that to change the behavior of citizens and governments and corporations, we need to intensify work on the legal field. And that is why connecting environmental or climate misbehavior to the rights of the people, right to life of the people, is very, very important. But unfortunately, the world is moving in the direction of disregarding multilateral legal system. The United Nations is being ignored by some countries. They simply just ignore whatever they say and go on doing what they want to do. So you have a system where more and more powerful nations are ignoring the collective, then you're going to still have the problems. Look at the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. We talk about the COP. I've been attending so many COPs, I have a fatigue right now of COPs, because every time nations are meeting to negotiate and avoid responsibilities and not to accept to do what is right. The justice basis, which is a common but differentiated responsibility, is almost on life support, because the countries who created the problem are not willing. The corporations who fired up the problems are bringing a lot of delegates to the conferences to ensure that things are not done the way they should be done. So I believe, for example, that the campaign for the law of ecocide, which will require environmental damage to be considered in the same bracket as genocide, as war crimes, as crimes against humanity, would actually help those who are creating the problems to step back and contribute to solving the problem.